Alright, welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds. This is a Christmas Eve review redo of the Revell 1720 HMS Ark Royal and Tribal Class Destroyer. I did a review on this quite a ways back, but it was when I was having sound problems with the channel, and when I went back to review it, I decided to do it again. In addition, I've changed the criteria for rating kits since then, and so as I've said with quite a few of the others, I've been in the mood lately to do lots of kit reviews, and so this one's next up. Except for the ones that are, there's 4 Academy kits that are still in the cellophane, and I probably won't review those until I crack them to build them. Okay, so HMS Ark Royal, very famous battleship. I did a little synopsis on it for the year-end kit review, so I apologize if those are watching. There's some repetition here. She was most famous for participating in the hunt for the Bismarck, and it was Fairy Swordfish from the Ark Royal that disabled the rudder on the Bismarck, and which led to its eventual chase down and demise. I always, yeah, Christmas Eve night. I've always tried to be fair, but in the past, I have to say, especially older Revell kits, I understand with the newer ones they're making improvements, but some of them are just plain junk. And even when I was a teenage modeler, they were at the lower end of things, and I always went for Tamiya or Airfix even. So, but I saw this and I thought, I'd give it a chance. I'm a fair person, so I thought I'd give it a chance. And it's 1720, which obviously is different from the 1700 of most other kits. But for a kit of this size, it's a difference of 1 or 2 millimeters, really, overall. They have it as a level 4, which I learned recently has more to do with the number of parts than the actual difficulty of the kit. Although obviously a kit with a lot of parts is going to be more of a challenge. And my joke is that the Revell level is the level of frustration you're going to get from the kit, which might not be entirely fair, but it's funny. So this one's level 4, 110 parts, 34.3 centimeters by 15.9 centimeters. And it does have both of the ships. It's catalog number 05149. We've got nice box art signed. We've got you see the swordfish here, and not sure what kind of aircraft that is. We'll probably see when we get in there. And we've got the Tribal Class Destroyer. For this particular kit, it's the HMS Eskimo, which again in the year-end review I gave some information on. The Tribal Class Destroyers were tough little ships. and at one point this one had the bow blown off from the second gun forward. But she stayed afloat with the watertight doors, managed to tow her back to dry dock. They refitted her, and she went back to finish the war. Unlike, unfortunately, the Ark Royal. So this kit cost about $42, and I figured, you know, for the size of the kit and the fact that it's 2 ships, yeah, that's fairly reasonable as far as I'm concerned. Side opening box. Top openers are nice, but this one isn't. So, and nothing special on the side here. It's got a copyright of 2017. And I guess this was Revell, Germany. On the back, this is always nice. I like to see it. They put the paints right outside that you're going to need ahead of time. You don't have to wait to get inside to find out what you're going to need. Not everybody has a full stable or inventory of paints. Get some nice photos of the prototype models. Indicates detailed model kits for advanced model builders. Experience in gluing and painting is required. Kit suitable for ages 12 to adult. And certainly under age of 12, I would expect that you'd need some sort of adult supervision. Everything's in multiple languages. They give you all the different paints and so forth, Revell type paints. And the note here, model construction kit of the aircraft carrier HMS Ark Royal, well known for its part in the hunting of the German battleship Bismarck. Kit also includes the tribal class destroyer F-75 Eskimo. 8 Ferry Fulmer aircraft, there you go. The Ferry Fulmer aircraft, those were the monoplanes. Unfortunately, they didn't include biplane swordfish. But for a 1720 kit, it might be a bit of a challenge to do biplanes. Although, to me, I did 1700 Walrus float plane. And so you get a display stand and a quote-unquote authentic decal set. So everything you need right here on the back of the box. So there's no big surprises. Instructions are the new style Revell. And the new instruction style, excuse me, is where they've really upped their game. Excuse me. Okay, so let's take a look inside here. Got some funky stuff going on here with the sprues. I'm not seeing any flash. Everything looks to be nicely molded. There is a little bit of flash on the funnels here. This is the base for the tribal class destroyer. It's nice that's not in 2 pieces. And then I guess this is pretty much the rest of it. These are different cranes and masts and guns. And here we have the Ferry Fulmer aircraft. There's some detail here, but nothing really very spectacular. It's a two-piece stand. Here's the superstructure and funnels. Got some flash here, but that looks to be on the inside of whatever. This looks to be the sides and the deck of the Tribal Class destroyer. And this is in two pieces, so I hope that fit won't be a big issue here. Although I saw one review, and I've told this story before, the one very skilled modeler got so frustrated assembling this that he impaled it on his mat right through the amidships here, because he was so upset with it. So hopefully I won't have that kind of difficulty. The molding looks good. You've got portholes, anchors, anchor chains here, so that detail's okay. And again, you've got additional mass and superstructure. Then we get into the Ark Royal. We've got these two pieces here. Again, nicely detailed. You can see the portholes, various different. You've got nets here. Looks like on the side that are molded in. The bolts are molded in. I don't mind that so much. These little boats are difficult to assemble and paint. Looks like there's some more nice detail here with vents and louvers. More boats. Might be a challenge getting in there, painting those. But generally speaking, looks pretty good. And here we have the base. This, unlike Waterline series, this actually does have a keel and propellers and shafts. So that stuff's going to have to be put on. Looks to be nicely molded. Nothing special here. I mean, you know, it's the bottom of a ship. So there's a seam line down here. You know, if you really want to be picky about it, it'd be easy enough to scrape it off or sand it off. But in the end, it's going to sit on the stand, and you're not going to see it. So, yeah, there's that. Now comes the elephant in the room. And this exemplifies problems with Revell. Here is the flight deck. Can you see? There's a big warp. It's really warped. I mean, it's twisted. It wasn't attached to any sprue. I don't know whether it broke off or what. But we've got some areas here of damage that are going to have to be repaired. The arrestor wires are put in here, along with some vents, louvers, and there's a bit of flash. So, but the biggest thing, you can really see it here, you can see that warp. And hopefully I'll be able just to soak it in warm water for a bit, actually hot water, and then lay something flat and heavy on it, and that'll straighten it out. Otherwise I might have to wrestle with it to get it to stick to the hull assembly. So that's a big knock right there. Okay, next we have decals. This is just all the legal stuff. And a couple odd things here. We've got the decals for the aircraft and some deck decals, along with the names of the ships. Those can be decaled onto the stands. And this here is really strange. We've got flags from all sorts of different navies. You've got the Japanese Navy, the US Navy, British, Australian navies. Not sure about this one. It might be South African, I'm not sure. Signal flags, and it's paper. There's no adhesive, although it does say here, ensigns and signal flags, cut out, dampen, and fold over rigging. So I guess at worst, you're going to have to use a bit of PVA glue or whatever to get those to affix. Still kind of strange. And these have a copyright date of 2012. For the instructions, again, we've got the completed model kits, photographs of the completed model kits, and the usual stuff. Please note the enclosed safety, etc., etc., etc. As always, I go out of my way to be fair, and I have to say that the new Revell instructions, the format, it's great. It's mostly pictograph, and they give you all the different tips you need. First is to read the instructions. They give you details on what different kinds of tools you might need. With Revell kits, you're going to need tape, you're going to need clothespins. As I always advise, they advise that you soak the parts in warm water, warm soapy water, and rinse them well. I don't bother to scrub them, I spray them with the sink sprayer thing. Scrubbing them, it kind of invites disaster, especially with the smaller parts. So, and then I set them aside, cover them in paper towel, let them dry overnight. They show you how to cut things off the sprue, test fits, how to glue, paints, Everything step by step by step. Decals, so very nice. And multiple languages, which is great. You know, obviously a German manufacturer, and they have a big focus on the European market. So they've got the legend here: glue, paint, sequence of assembly, optional parts. This indicates an illustration of a sub-assembly completed. Number of steps, whether you need to do something twice, 3 times, whatever the case may be. Time to allow parts to dry, that's dry the cement. When to soak and apply decals. Attach with adhesive tape. When to use decal fix. They recommend Decal Soft, which is probably a Revell product. I use Vallejo Decal Fix or Tamiya Decal Adhesive. And the little star here, snowflake, whatever you want to call it, indicates something's not included in the kit. Gives you the required colors. This is also very nice. They give you examples on when you need to mix paints for whatever reason, and they give you the paints. Get a nice, you get good, nice sprue maps here. Apparently this was attached to some kind of sprue, but I don't know what happened with that. Something that's blacked out indicates a part's not used. And a nice note here on, you know, if you need spare parts, if you've lost something or broken something. And then so it takes you through here. I guess this is assembling the aircraft carrier first. And they indicate glue and set it aside to let it dry. Depending on the cement you're using, you know, it might be an hour, it might be 2 hours. Often though, for something like a hull assembly or fuselage assembly, it's best to let it set overnight. Information on how to fix the stand. Here's the screws, or actually these are the shafts and the screws and the rudder, how those go on. Various different ancillary parts, placement of the guns, more guns. They indicate how to paint the little boats. Being in the recess, like I said, that can be probably a bit of a challenge, but we'll do what we can with it. As it showed in the instructions, it indicates you do this 2 times. 2 different colors of paint, or 3. And then we go through the superstructure, assembly, funnel, masts. These are radio masts, I believe. Painting and decaling those tiny little planes is going to be a real challenge. Fortunately, there aren't too many of them. Excuse me. Then we get on to part 21, which deals with assembling the travel class destroyer. Obviously, much smaller, much fewer parts, hopefully much easier to assemble. And take you through here. All the steps are well illustrated. clear, and simple small steps. At the back here, we get a very nice, gloss for the painting of both ships. One thing that's unfortunate is they don't include any service history notes. I went over it before when I, did the mini review. Already mentioned, I took part in the hunt for the Bismarck and was instrumental in that. But unfortunately, she ended up. She was doing basically escort duty in the Mediterranean, and was torpedoed by a couple of U-boats. Had a very bad list. Out of an abundance of caution, the captain evacuated the ship, but she stayed afloat, and I believe there was actually two people remaining on the ship that they had thought were missing. When they learned that she wasn't in imminent danger of sinking, they reboarded her and tried to effect repairs, but eventually it was just too much. Too much water had been filled. It filled with too much water, and she ended up turning turtle and eventually sinking. However, almost all the crew were rescued, were saved, and so with very little loss. The captain ended up being court-martialed, and it was found that a lot of procedures weren't properly followed, and the feeling was that he had abandoned the ship too soon. He ended up basically with a slap on the wrist, and went on to command naval forces for the D-Day invasion. So obviously they still had confidence in him. What came out of it more than anything else was design flaws in the ship, one of which was there were no backup generators. So when the main generators and steam plant were hit, that was another reason why she filled with water, because there was no power for the pumps. So, a storage ship. One that sure did her bit for the cause. And of course the design flaws were addressed for later aircraft carriers. Okay, so now the moment of truth. Packaging, I'm going to give it 1.75. The external packaging was fine. There is some scuffing and wear on the sides here, so lose a quarter point for that. Otherwise everything was fine. No creases or dents. For the sprues, 1.5 points out of 2 there. Quarter point off for the flash, and a quarter point off for the, in particular, the flight deck that was off the sprue. For parts, that's 2.25. I took a quarter point off for those paper decals, kind of weird, and a full half point for the warped flight deck, which could prove to be a very difficult challenge. for the instructions, 2 3/4. Take a 1/4 point off because there's no service or history notes. And a 1/4 point for value. $42, 2 ships, one nice big one. You get the aircraft, even though there's not, no biplanes. So that brings us to a total of 8.5 out of 12. So got some other ships in line before I build this one. And to be honest with you, I'll probably wait for it to be last, so that I've managed, I'll be able to have built a few ships, and a bit more experience in that regard. So, still working on the Akagi. It's coming along, slow but sure. And as well, same with the Mitsubishi, the Zero, and the Messerschmitt FW 109 from ICM. Having some challenges with that, so rather than frustrate myself, I tend to set things aside till I'm ready to tackle them again. All right, so I'm gonna put this up right away, so it'll be on the channel for Christmas Day. And so I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Hope the holidays in general are safe and happy. And once again, thanks to all my subscribers. Over 200 now. Thanks to everyone. And thanks to everyone who spends time with the channel, whether you watch full videos or whether you just kind of breeze through. Comments are always welcome. I just ask you keep them respectful. Okay, so that's it for tonight, and once again, Merry Christmas, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day tomorrow.